This is Inside the Locker Room, where football isn't just a game, it's a war zone. Every take, unfiltered. Every prediction, ruthless. From Sunday battles to primetime legends. We break down the matchups, the mind games, and the moments that define champions. Fantasy, film, trash talk, all inside the locker room. So if you came for smoke, you're in the fire now.
What is up inside the locker room? We are back with another episode, and today we have a special guest. But I'm gonna let our other co-host really introduce him because this was all his doing. Adam, the keys are yours.
All right. Yeah, we've got a very special guest today joining us from Bear Den Live. If you just want to introduce yourself a little bit, throw out some shout outs to your socials, and yeah.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, Adam, Deuce, B-Rod, everybody. Thanks for having me. Like Adam said, met Adam through Instagram, and shout out to him, man. He got this going. But if y'all want to follow my socials, I'm a big Bears fan. Post Bears content on the daily. Going to be going to training camp tomorrow, so my socials are at Bear Den Live, mainly through Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Shoot me a follow, shoot me a message if you guys ever want to collab or talk Bears. Let's do it.
Alrighty.
Nice.
Without further ado, let's get into it. We had day one of Bears training camp yesterday.
No.
Wasn't maybe exactly how you would have planned it, but what were your reactions to kind of an off day for day one of Bears training camp?
It's a good question. We're starting off hot. I think everybody loses. God, might as well, right? I think everybody loses their mind over the first day of camp. I don't think it's something to freak out over. I always tell myself it's like me going to my first day of work, and I don't know, I make a mistake. So I think Bears media and a lot of execs that stream podcast and at ESPN, everybody started freaking out over Caleb. I know Colin Cowherd was talking this morning. He released a whole 20-minute video about how there's trouble in Chicago. I'm not worried. I think it's part of a process. Every quarterback takes time to develop, and we have obviously a whole new regime under Ben Johnson. So it's going to take time for him to develop, and I'm not worried at all. So.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like you said, it's the first day. You gotta get the jitters out, and Colin Cowherd, not to throw him under the bus or anything, but he's always looking for a headline. So I'm not surprised that he came out and put a 20-minute video out there. Deuce or Ben, any thoughts on this?
I give it, just like you said, it's the first day of training camp. I wouldn't stress too much. Last year it was the same thing with Caleb Williams since it was his rookie year, and to me, he played perfectly fine in the regular season with the limited options he had. So, and also you got to note, this is a new change, like a new coaching regime. So it's going to be different than it was last year, but it's training camp. Mistakes happen. The media likes to find these little mistakes and make it something so big, but I think Caleb is fine. I think the Bears will be fine. But Benji?
Yeah, you guys all hit the nail on the head. Obviously, it's still very, very early. We're still in July, folks. So we still have, a whole month of preseason to go through. And then, we get to the promised land that is the regular season. But Bear Down, I also wanted to ask you too, we mentioned a lot of things regarding, growing pains, a lot of people's, first time doing things. Kind of, we have a new head coach, new regime, and Ben Johnson. But for a player like Luther Burden, who is 6 foot physical receiver, you guys, me and Adam watched him get drafted live. That was a pretty sick moment. So my question to you is, as a part of he's a other receiver apart from Dunze and also DJ Moore. So what will Luther Burden, try to accomplish this training camp, and what could he get done, this summer?
Yeah, it's a good question. Honestly, he hasn't participated in anything during the summer. I think he participated maybe in minicamp. Not sure. I don't think he did. He's been struggling with his soft tissue in his hamstring. He wasn't placed on the PUP list or the NFI list. But everybody started freaking out yesterday too. We had our own media outlets freaking out and like bashing him like they drafted him to be, not a burden and stuff like that. But once he does come back, I don't expect him to, pick up the speed right away. I mean, coming off an injury, right? Probably all of us play sports. We know that it takes time to revamp and rehab the right way. And I actually am very appreciative that the Bears are taking a very critical and conservative approach to his injury. I'd rather have him be 100% rather than be 80% and get screwed up in the beginning of the season. Then that's a whole different story. But if he does come back, the summer, then I just assume that he's going to just be rehabbing, taking things slow, and just trying to build that connect and that shotgun and under center. I think quickness with Caleb. I think Ben Johnson wants Caleb to sit under center instead of shotgun. So I think with Luther and DJ and Rome, I think once he is back, I think he needs to pick up on that. And I think I don't think I'm worried. He's got a big frame, like you said. He's 6 foot. He's doing his thing. He released a video 2 days ago. He's working out. He's doing his thing. But I'm glad that he's taking it slow. And I think that he'll come back strong. So.
Yeah, and I mean, for some listeners that maybe don't know, like if the draft happened 1 year sooner, he would have been like the number 1 wide receiver prospect. And he had a little bit of a down year in college, but the Missouri offense was just kind of iffy also. So from a grading perspective, he was still like a very, very good receiver. And I just can't wait to watch him with the ball in his hands. He's got that crazy yard after catch ability. So, I mean, yeah, it's going to be very, very fun to watch with Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, Odunze, and then adding in Luther Burden. And kind of segues into the next question. What are your thoughts on Colston Loveland? Were you surprised that he went 10th overall? Already having Cole Kmet, do you love the guy? Overall thoughts.
Hey, Hey, shout out Pitch Grid, man. He knows what's up, man. I was caught off guard. I didn't expect the Bears to take a tight end. I don't think anybody, if you were a Bears fan and you said that you knew we were going to take a tight end, I know you would be BSing me because we have Kmet. We gave him a big contract. And so taking Loveland it caught me off guard. But I won't say that I didn't like the pick. I went back and I watched his Michigan tape, and he's a freaking monster. He's huge. He's a beast. He can catch. He can block. He can do whatever you need. He's like a wide receiver tight end, right? Blocking,
route running ability.
Yeah,
it's off the charts.
It's off the charts, right, Adam? You know that. You two know that too, probably. You guys, his tape is insane. But I will say it caught me off guard. But as time has progressed, I've appreciated that Ben Johnson took him, knowing what he did with Laporta. So I'm not worried. And with Kmet, I think that it's good. I think he gives him that mentorship to be what he needs to be. And it's a good competition, honestly, man. I think it sets both of them up for success, and it's like a competition who's going to be tight end 1. And, you got to work your tail off to get that spot in Ben Johnson's offense. So I think it is a great pick, and it just helps Caleb even more, right? With blocking, pass catching, any leadership, anything. So I think it's a great pick, and I'm ready for this kid to go, man.
No, it's a great point that like the competition is only going to make him better. I might have been the only person with like 200,000 people around us in Green Bay that I was not shocked by the pick, just because I thought he was just as good, just as good as Tyler Warren. And at the same time, you mentioned Sam Laporta, which is perfect because that's what I was going to mention. He's basically a Sam Laporta clone. Like he's that guy that people weren't talking about enough. I think he's going to have a better career than Tyler Warren. And I mean, Ben Johnson going from a Sam Laporta, he's like, he probably didn't expect to have a guy that's like the prototypical build of Sam Laporta right away going into year 1. So, I mean, might have surprised some people, but I think it's going to be a great pick and just give Caleb Williams as many weapons as he can get. And then if he doesn't perform, then we're going to have a problem. But I think I'm a big believer in Caleb Williams. So I think he's going to, I think he's going to get it going. But let's get into Bears season expectations overall. Do you think they're a playoff team? Let's maybe say, like, what's your ceiling for them? What's your floor for them?
Yeah, 100% playoff team. Man, this team's going to win the Super Bowl. I'm telling you. I'm not even delusional. I'm telling you, this is
not even delusional.
Say nah.
I've been delusional for 23 years. Then no, I think this is a playoff team. I think this is a playoff team, man. I mean, I think 12-5 is where I'm going for. The highest achievable. I think is 12-5. if worse comes to worse, I think 9-8 is just what Vegas has us at. We're at 8.5 wins at on sports books. But I think 12-5 is completely doable. You know, with a division that lost Ben Johnson and multiple players and coaching staff to our team, I think that we will be taking the North. I think that the North is very up for grabs.
Okay,
you know, Vikings.
I like it.
I don't think the Vikings. I don't think they're all that. I don't think JJ. I'm not a believer in JJ McCarthy. I think he got carried by Harbaugh and all that in Michigan. I just don't. I don't see it. I don't see the North being as competitive as people think. I don't like the Packers. Packers are not good. The Lions. I think it's going to be between the Lions. Yeah, screw the Packers. The freaking copy to Illinois.
I will say I love the NFC North rivalries that the fans have. Like, they just
me and Adam saw that firsthand in Green Bay, and it was honestly hilarious. There was literally two dudes next to the porta potty just like going at it, but they were joking, but they're just like going at it, like just rambling off of like just mishaps for both their teams. It's hilarious, like the rivalries you guys got.
Yeah, no, like I've mentioned it a few times, but like I heard more Bears still suck chants than like go Pack go chants while we were there. It was wild. Like they honestly spend more time trying to like put down the Bears than actually cheering for their own team. No, it's pretty freaking funny. How about you, Deuce, Ben? What do you guys think? What do you think the ceiling or the floor is for the Bears this season?
Honestly, I still think the Bears are a playoff team. You know, they got better whether you like it or not. My ceiling for them is 10, 11 wins. If something was to go wrong, and my floor would be 6 wins and 6 or 7 wins, I still think they're a very talented team. If for them to get 6 or 7 wins, I think like players are going to have to get hurt. But even with that, I think the Bears have enough of depth to, you know, still perform well. And I think over the offseason, that's what they really prioritize. We caught and saw that. So this season is kind of in the Bears' favor. Like you said, the North is up for grabs. You can debate all day who has the best chance. Like each team, you know, whether you like it or not, they have a valid reason, you know, why they could be a top 2 team in the North. So, but in my opinion, I think the Bears are that top team. I think it's debatable with them and the Packers. It could be debatable with the Lions. I got to see the Lions play a game first. You know, a lot of people are hyping them up, but they did just lose 2 coordinators. So I have to kind of watch the Lions first before I can even think about putting them first. But competing for that 2-3 spot for me would be, you know, the Packers and the Bears, like right there. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting year. Me personally, I think the NFC North is going to be the best division in football next year, without a doubt. I feel like people like to count the Vikings out of next year, but we just truly don't, like kind of like the Atlanta Falcons. We just truly don't know what they're going to be next year with the new quarterback change. Nathan says really quickly, what are your thoughts on the Chicago Bears defense this season, starting with the secondary, Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, Tyreek Stevenson, along with the safeties, Brisker and Kevin Byard? Yeah.
And wait, actually, before you answer that, I will say this because for the people in Instagram comments, we got a comment that said about the Vikings. It's no hate to the Vikings. I do think the Vikings have, kind of a lesser case than other teams to kind of win the North. I still think they'll be a 7-8 win team or even a 9-win team. Or like I think they'll probably be a team that just make the playoffs. You never know with this division. They have a valid.
They could all make the playoffs, legit.
Yeah, but I just think seriously, the Vikings out of the other 3 teams kind of have, not the best behind them compared to the other teams. But I give the mic back off to y'all.
Yeah, to go to that point very quickly, like the Vikings have like the biggest question mark for sure out of all of these, teams here. But to answer Nathan's question really quickly, I think the Bears defense has always been pretty good. It's kind of, having similar problems to some of these Jets teams as well that I've covered. Their offense has just struggled, but their defense, has just been good for a certain amount of years, but nothing's really been done to, help the defense get off the stay off the field with the offense. So, but point I was going back to before is, the Vikings obviously being a big question mark, like we've been saying. And then when it comes to the Lions and the Bears and the Packers, I think the biggest question for the Chicago Bears is, like we've been saying this entire time, is just how are these other teams going to be performing? And we'll see what Ben Johnson has, lined up for Chicago and the Bears next season. So yeah.
You wanna jump in there, Bearden? Thoughts on the Chicago Bears defense?
Yeah, I think this is a great question, and I think the media always talks about our offense, and I think our defense always gets thrown under the rug. Like you just even in that comment, like you have Jalen Johnson, who is an All Pros DB. You have Kyler Gordon. You have
Brisker is
Tariq.
always nice too. Yeah,
Brisker is great when he's healthy. Oh man, Brisker and Gordon and Jalen are a unstoppable trio. And then you got Kevin Byard. You got vet. You got vet presence. And I think our defense is so strong that it gets thrown under the rug. But I think this is one of the top 5 defenses in the league. And I just think that our offense always gets all the attention, but our defense will be making noise if they can stay healthy. I know Brisker went down with a crazy injury, didn't play the entire year basically last year, but he stays healthy, this defense is going to be unstoppable.
Yeah, definitely undercrediting the defense sometimes. And also I was going to say really quickly too, I think the Bears, they don't really have any, super strong, holes that they need to fill. But, we have discussed a little bit about the running back room. In my opinion, it's a little bit, weaker than other running back rooms outside of DeAndre Swift, of course. But I think the main question, I guess, to just sort of wrap this all up is, what is this? What is the ceiling, I guess, and what do you expect about this running back room for Chicago? We've kind of discussed it before last week on the podcast, but we want to know, what do you think about this running back room?
It's definitely questionable running back room. I know a lot of critics have a lot to say about it just because who we have. I do think that DeAndre will take a leap this year with Ben Johnson. He's been coached with him before in Detroit, and he did not have the best year because Jamal Williams took all of his touchdowns. He had the record of like how many touchdowns within the 1 yard
Knuckles,
line.
Baby.
Yeah, he went crazy.
Montgomery, yeah.
Yeah, but no, I think DeAndre. I've always been a DeAndre Swift stan. I've used to love him ever since he was in Detroit, just because I had him in fantasy, and I've just liked him ever since. But I think a lot of people forget about Roschon Johnson too. He's a big running back, and not only is a running back, he's a pass catching running back too. Yeah, he's a running back too, but he's very talented. And if Ben Johnson can deliver the same role that he did with Demont and Jahmyr Gibbs in Detroit and do that with Roschon and DeAndre, I'm not saying that's like what they're going to be doing, but if you can implement that system into them, I think it's going to be a great time. And I think DeAndre will be taking a big leap, if he can run up the middle and find his holes that he needs to work on. But yeah.
No, it's a great point about like Roschon Johnson is kind of like that forgotten man, but he could have a big year if he ends up getting that kind of Thunder or Knuckles role. Could have a really good year. Another guy, Kyle Monongai, out of Rutgers. DeAndre Swift was he was giving rave reviews about him either today or yesterday. I just read it before we went on the show. But was saying that he could easily end up winning that that Knuckles role and that close yardage role, that he can do a little bit of everything. And like people always forget about like the 7th round picks, but honestly, like I think he had like 1,100, 1,200 yards each of the last 2 years for Rutgers. So I mean, he could be that kind of Isaiah Pacheco that just comes out of nowhere for the Bears this season. So could be really interesting. I'll just throw out my expectations for the Bears this season. When we ran the numbers like about a month ago, I want to do it again sometime soon, but I had them going 10-7, I believe, and sneaking into the playoffs as like the 7th seed. I think, in my opinion, I still got the Lions winning the division, but it's going to be really interesting to watch these like first 4 games for the entire division, because they lost like something like 6 assistants. I mean, 2 of them becoming head coaches and then getting poached by the various head coaches to follow them as well. So, I mean, that's going to be a big thing to watch. I do think they just have almost every single player returning on offense and defense. And they had some of the most injuries on defense of anyone last year, also on their offensive line too. So they can come back healthy if I'm forgetting his name right now, but if Jameson Williams. If Jameson Williams can really take that next step and like become a breakout star for him, to go along with Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then of course you got Laporta, you got the great running game. So I mean, it's just going to be interesting to see if they really do take a step back on offense because of the loss of Ben Johnson, which kind of segues into my last question. Well, it's kind of 2-in-1, but obviously Caleb Williams was the most sacked quarterback in the NFL last year, but boy, did they do like everything in their power to get him as many weapons on the offensive line as possible. Signing some of the big contracts, making the trade for Joe Tooney. So what are your thoughts on the O-line going forward? And then do you think the Ben Johnson impact is going to be enough to really propel them? I know you already said they're a playoff team, but just overall finishing thoughts.
Yeah, no. I think building the trenches was one of the best things that the Bears did. I don't think we've ever focused on that ever in our entire franchise. This is one of the best O-lines.
Relatable as a Seahawks fan.
Yeah, you guys have all know this. Like since the '85 Bears, even with the '85 Bears, our line wasn't that good. But no, this is the best O-line that we've ever seen, and we are known to be a historical cheap franchise. And the fact that we did spend an insane amount of money on like Drew Dolman and all these Jonah Jack, everybody that we picked up in free agency was very surprising, but it was the right time to do it just because you have a young quarterback that you need to develop. He's got a lot of talent and he just needs that time. And I think with this O-line that we now have, we're giving him a lot of time to develop and go through his reads properly. So I think it's going to be a whole new era in Chicago football. And to answer your last question, Adam, the Ben Johnson effect, I think we saw what he did in Detroit. All he has to do is be that hard coach that he was in Detroit, bring that over as a head coach here. I know I've been watching these pressers from the 2 days of practice, and Kevin Byard and Cole Kmet have said that this guy, he doesn't mess around. He will be hard on his players. He has a standard set, and he has a lot of aura today. Kevin Byard said, like he said, the young guys call it aura.
All right, I like that.
Yeah, I won't end off with that. He is what everybody expects him to be, and I think that effect is already showing with how hard he coaches. And we just got to wait 46 more days, and I think he'll show the world what his capabilities are with his team.
Love it.
No.
Well, I mean, thank you so much for joining us, and you're welcome to come back on the show anytime. If you just want to throw out the shout out to your socials just one more time for anyone that might have started listening late.
Bear Den Live. That's BearDenLive. Mainly on TikTok and Instagram, but also on Twitter. Tap in. You want to DM me, talk football, talk Bears. We can debate, do anything. So I appreciate y'all having me, man.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for coming on.
Check this man out.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, so that was a nice guest, Purcell. It was perfect. Always welcome back on the show. Guests are always welcome to be on the show. But next, kind of going into the next NFL topic, Terry McLaurin was not present at training camp, and I'm just gonna give my quick thoughts on that. Terry McLaurin has been very loyal to Washington's franchise. He's been through so many different quarterbacks, and that have not gone the right way. Let me just say that, how they've wanted. And for him to stay on the same team, I think that's one that shows how loyal he is to the franchise. But also, I will say this. You just got Jaden Daniels the Rookie of the Year. Why not, hurry up and get this extension for your wide receiver one? I think having him for Jaden Daniels is only going to make him better. And that's kind of screwing Terry McLaurin over and Jaden McDaniels over by not having McLaurin resign, if y'all know what I'm saying. But Adam, Benji, y'all's thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of mentioned this a couple weeks ago, but I never thought it would get this late and this far. He's technically not reporting already because training camp has started at this point, but reports are saying that Terry McLaurin, wide receiver for the Commanders, is seeking $30 million a year potentially for his new contract, and I think he deserves it. Like you said, he's shown loyalty. He's been on this team since 2019, so that's almost 6 years at this point, or 6 years. So he's been on the roster for a while. So I think if anybody's deserving of a new contract in this wide receiver room, Also considering that they let go of Diami Brown as well, even after he had a nice playoff, resume. Yeah. Playoff resume from last year. So why not pay Terry McLaurin? But I guess, as we said many, many times, he's a big factor to Jaden Daniels' success for his rookie season. But if he does potentially leave the Commanders, I mean, do we see him on potentially the Steelers, the Patriots, the Chargers, these wide receiver, needy teams? And I even throw in my Jets in there because we could, stack onto this New York Buckeyes team that we got going on. So I would freaking love that. We didn't get, I know, right? And we didn't, we didn't go after, I'm sure we went after Chris Olave, but, do we add another potential receiver opposed to Garrett Wilson? But we'll see if Terry McLaurin gets the contract he wants from the Commanders. I think they would be honestly dumb not to re-sign him. So, Adam, what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head right at the end. I completely agree. Like, they would be very dumb to not re-sign him. He's literally been keeping the Commanders afloat since his rookie year. Pretty sure he's had 1,000 yards every single year. Maybe one year he missed it by like 20, 30 yards. He was like the entire offense before Jaden Daniels, and they already showed so much chemistry with Jaden Daniels having the crazy year. They went to the playoffs, and I think they have a realistic chance of challenging the Eagles for the division. I still would probably pick the Eagles by like one game, but I think it's going to come down to those final few games. And I really do think it's just a lot of posturing at the moment. You see it every single year from a lot of players, and some players will even do what's called hold in, where like they'll go to practice, but they just stand on the sidelines. So it'll be interesting to watch over like the next week. But I think long term, there's no way that he's not a Commander by the time the season starts. And I mean, he has to be on the team, because otherwise, like Jaden Daniels had some good chemistry with Zach Ertz. Now you've got Deebo Samuel. Yeah, supposedly he's really forming a nice chemistry there too. But like, to me, Deebo Samuel is only as effective if you have Terry McLaurin, because then he can be that wide receiver too. And we've already seen him kind of like take a step back, look a little bit slower. But from what I've heard from Jaden Daniels' reports at practice and everything, he's like, this man hasn't slowed down at all. So I really think they want that dynamic duo. I don't even necessarily think they would have gone for Deebo unless they had long-term plans of just building this offense more and more. So like I said, I think it's a lot of posturing at the end of the day, and I think he'll be in camp sooner than later, and he's going to have a great season. Probably another 1,000-yard season, another 10 touchdowns, somewhere around there.
Yeah, and I mean, the best interest, and I think the Cowboys need to take note of this also before we talk about the Cowboys training camp, is, like you said, Adam, you need to sign your players that actually perform. You need to lock your guys down. And you can say this to the Bengals fans too that have done Trey Hendrickson dirty and did Shamar Stewart. You got to sign the guys that are productive, or that will be productive for your squad. You need to sign them. You don't need a holdout, because then that creates player frustration, that ruins the team chemistry. And, I'm going to just segue this into the Cowboys contract situation, with Micah. It takes a lot for a player to still go up to a facility where your owner just kind of crapped on you, still have a bright smile, still participate. But, he said he's doing it for the team. He's doing it for himself. He's not doing it for Jerry Jones. But it's always, like I said, it's always important to keep your stars happy, because then your star can go to a different team and torch you later in the season. So, and that's not a good look. But passing the mic off.
I was about to say real quick, I know you're praying he don't go to the Eagles one day, because that,
I hope.
Because, I mean, we did see Micah.
If Michael Parsons knew what was best, I think if he ever went to Philadelphia, he would never live it down from Cowboys fans. But I will say this: if he was to go to Philly, it would be because of Jerry Jones and his incompetence as an owner. He would have to do something stupid to make Micah, leave. And I think Jerry Jones has already kind of proven like how stupid he kind of is right now by saying these comments to the media. But I digress.
Yeah, it was surprising to see that, yet again, like we mentioned, Micah Parsons kind of, throwing things out there like, hey, if this is the end, this is the end. And it's pretty much a common denominator from all these players. Like, Trey Hendrickson is in Florida right now, just chilling. So like, but the common denominator is that these guys just want to get paid, So, but to Jerry Jones's, I guess point of view, he did just give Dak Prescott, a mega contract last year, and he only played 7 or 8 games. So, from the owner's perspective, it's like, he's getting a little trauma from paying these players these humongous contracts and then it just not working out. So, but
and I mean,
we've seen time and time again to just,
it's
pay
like
your
what I
players.
said. It's like what I said. I understand. Like I understand exactly what Jerry's point of view was when he said that. It's just, why do you say that to the media who can spin the story a whole different way than what it was intended? And yes, it already did sound stupid when he already said it coming out of his mouth, but with it just being now in the media's hands, who knows what kind of stories, who knows what else who knows what else he kind of do. And we got I think Jerry Jones does it to stay active in the media. It's a job. I agree. I really think right now he only cares about his public perception, and I think he only cares about the money. Like I've said before, I don't really think he cares about winning. And the last time he really did win was in the 90s, and you can really credit majority of that to Jimmy Johnson. I mean, I wasn't even born yet, but I've watched a lot of tapes. I've watched a lot of videos and stuff on it, and you see that like Jimmy Johnson played a bigger part in that team. And I still don't even like how he got rid of Tom Landry when Tom Landry was already a legendary coach. So, Jerry Jones just does some questionable things. It's kind of weird. I don't like him as an owner, coming from a personal Cowboys fan. I'm telling you this, the Cowboys, in my opinion, won't scratch a Super Bowl until Jerry Jones is out the office. And even if the Joneses family is done with that franchise, I think enough damage is already done. And I think he's really hurt the fan reputation. None of the fans like Jerry Jones, whether you like it or not. Jerry might think he has loyal. No, we are not loyal to Jerry Jones. We are loyal to the Cowboys because we like the Cowboys. Jerry Jones is the reason why we kind of lose every season. And yes, it has a team. It is a team effort, but Jerry Jones does nothing to really address it. He keeps giving these players minimal contracts. He doesn't try to go for any of the big stars. His final big star was just George Pickens, but he did have a good offseason, but I feel like he kind of just let that go all out the window with those comments he made. And I know I'm kind of going on a rant here because that's a fan frustration.
Oh, you're good.
That's a fan frustration, but I'm just telling you, like, how much longer can we sit here and just do this season after season? We keep getting bounced. We can't even get past the divisional round. And you would think, okay, maybe let's take a Bears approach and like really invest in our offseason, really invest in our coaches. And I'm not saying like Brian Schottenheimer I haven't seen him really coach the Cowboys yet, but I mean, from his track record, I feel like there was other coaches that the Cowboys could have signed before Brian Schottenheimer. You get Mike McCarthy, you think he's coming back for another year. No, you get rid of him after all the coaches already signed. So it makes no sense. Then you redeem yourself a little bit in the draft and in the free agency, but how do we know that's enough to really win us over if the season comes around and we fumble hard again? Are you going to do something during midseason, trade for a big name star? Cowboys are always in trade talks like around this time, and they never trade for anybody big. The last time I saw somebody them trade for somebody big, it was when they traded for Amari Cooper during the season. So those are just like, as a fan, that is just stuff that pours out like every season. Are you going to really, Jerry, when are you going to finally realize, like, are you going to do something better? Are you going to step down if you really want to see this franchise win? And that's why I think Jerry Jones cares about public perception, and he only cares about money right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree with you. Like, honestly, you hit my 2 points I was going to make at the very end. But George Pickens, like, I was going to give him a little bit of credit. Yeah, George Pickens, great trade, especially the value-wise. Cowboys, probably A+ draft, if not A. They were, in my opinion, one of the 5 best draft classes. And, like, I know he's not making all of those decisions, but he is a big factor in all of those decisions. So I wanted to give him a lot of credit. But then, I mean, like, let's compare it to, like, a franchise like the Patriots. Like, you never – like, Bill Belichick, anytime he'd be asked anything, he'd be like, all right, we're on to next week. Let's talk about next week. Like, instead you have your owner, Jerry Jones, like, making the headlines and – for some reason, like, making it a thing, which should be the exact opposite of what you want.
And then, like, calling the players by their wrong names even.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
and
crazy.
It's
just
like if you're
shows
going to
where
get the
his
stuff right,
head's at. Also,
if you're gonna get the details right, at least like if you're gonna say all the details, say it right. Because you claim Micah Parsons was out more weeks than he actually was. He was out 4 weeks. So I don't know where the whatever how 6-8 weeks came from. He was out 4 weeks, so it kind of makes no sense. But like I said, all props to Micah for being there because a lot of players would be out the window. And I know if that was Trey Hendrickson, he would most definitely be out the window. He already is like out the window with I think he's kind of done with the Bengals. He's already in Florida
right now. He chilling.
So,
yeah, we need to get Jerry Jones some like note cards or a teleprompter or something because I don't
what
think
he
he's
needs to
doing
do
so
is
great just flying off the
needs
top there anymore.
Jerry Jones got to give it. Jerry Jones needs to let it go. You've already you're a national icon, whether you like it or not. Just because the Cowboys name was attached to you, you don't have nothing left with this Cowboys franchise, in my opinion. So, give it to somebody younger that knows the game a little bit more, that understands the game a little bit more. There's these younger GMs, these younger owners that know the game more than Jerry Jones. And I think Jerry Jones still thinks this is the 90s, and to win, it has to be like how he won in the 90s. But this is the 2020s. You can't win like you did in the 90s. You actually have to build a team. And
I know you've mentioned this before, so I mean, I guess we can just kind of end with this. But like the problem is Stephen Jones is in the family. Like he's been around Jerry Jones his entire life, so it's like without a doubt he's rubbed off on him. So even when Jerry Jones steps down or whatever happens, it's still going to be a problem. I know you've said to me privately and publicly before that like you don't think that the Cowboys can win a championship as long as even like anyone in the Jones family. So like basically, are you saying that they would have to sell the team to a different ownership group to really eventually win a title again?
I really do think they're going to have to and I hate to say this as a fan because you never want to say, oh, we're not going to Super Bowl. And a lot of Cowboys fans have that issue of saying we're going to the Super Bowl this year. No. And I'm sorry. Look, you got to be logical and realistic as a Cowboys fan. Jerry Jones, he don't got what it takes. This team has to be sold to a different ownership, in my opinion. But I don't think that's going to happen because, Stephen Jones has kind of been getting, fed all the ownership. He's slowly taking control. And, once Jerry does finally step down, Stephen Jones is going right up there. That's why I tell this to, my friends and my ODC friends, my Cowboys friends all the time, until the Cowboys get rid of the Joneses family, the Cowboys won't win. And I think that the Joneses family just has the same ideologies, how to win. And yes, I give them the props. They know how to draft well. I saw a post that they drafted 10 All-Pros, but what does that mean if you can't win a Super Bowl? What does that mean if you can't get past the divisional round? These players, I think all the players that we pay, they're good enough to compete for a Super Bowl, but it's like the minor things that are the reason we lose. We had one year where we were just consistently fumbling the ball and consistently getting penalties, and it just made no sense. And Jerry Jones really didn't have no answer for that. And what owner, can't really, y'all get what I'm saying, basically.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's the good owner. I want the ownership to go to a more younger person that knows the game a little bit better. All credit to Jerry Jones for the 3 Super Bowls that he's won, but hey, we're in a new time, we're in a new era. And if you want to start seeing the NFC East hasn't had a back-to-back winner in the last 20-21 years. But that's going to change real soon with the Eagles because the Eagles know how to draft well. They know how to win.
Yeah, and Jalen Hurts
is locked
in right now.
Same as the Commanders, and I hate to give the Eagles their props, but they're doing it. They're running a franchise better than the Cowboys right now. I said that the Cowboys had a good offseason, but the Eagles just know how to really run it consistently. The Cowboys will have one good offseason, have one bad offseason, have 2 good offseasons, have one bad offseason. It's never continuous. The Eagles have been slowly just having quiet good offseason year after year. And how much I hate to say, they have a very strong case to win, the NFC East for 2 years in a row and be the first back-to-back in 2021 years. So,
yeah, no, I appreciate that unbiased perspective, even though you are a Cowboys fan. So we're going to have another special guest join us in just a minute. But before we do, there was some not so great news coming out of Jets country today. So, I mean, Ben almost had a heart attack. So let's just have Ben jump in here and chime in.
Nah, yeah, it was about 9:30 a.m. this morning, waking up, thinking, let me wake up early, do my, workout routine, try to, make my life better here. And then I get a notification on my phone that Justin Fields was carted off to the locker room. But not only that, it was a non-contact injury. So for about a couple hours, or not a couple hours, but a decent amount of time, Jets media and just Jets fandom was just on fire. We didn't know what to do. We didn't know what to think, because we just didn't know the severity of the injury. All we knew is that Justin Fields was carted off to the locker room this morning off of a non-contact injury. But when Aaron Glenn spoke to the media, he said that it was a toe injury that Justin Fields suffered, that he didn't know the severity of it yet. But then later on, Rich Cimini, longtime Jets reporter, comes out and says that they're thankful that he has sustained a serious injury. So he avoided a very serious injury this morning, but he is expected to make the week 1 start for the Steelers, and he is considered day to day. So huge bullet dodged by, this Jets offense. Just goes to show that sometimes the world just needs to remind us that, hey, we're Jets fans. So, we really have to no, seriously, because
I actually think y'all are cursed.
No, seriously, because
cursed,
in years past, you just hear non-contact. It's just, that's the worst thing you could hear for a Jets quarterback. And we all held our breath this morning, but hoping for a speedy recovery for my boy Justin. And season's still on, of course. And
first preseason game is next week, so that'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be interesting to see the rehab process, how exactly hurt his toe is. I know it is not on his planting foot, so that's also a good thing. But yeah, I'm going to be at training camp tomorrow as well, bright and early. So if anybody else is there at One Jets Drive at the beautiful Florham Park in Jersey, shout out Jersey, let me know. But yeah, it was just so scary this morning. I honestly would have sobbed myself to sleep every single night if he was indeed out for the season. But luckily,
can't blame you.
Luckily, he's not.
I mean, it's good that they said day to day, even too. Didn't say week to week or some other designation. So maybe it was just basically a really bad stub toe. So who knows?
Yeah,
maybe we'll see him back out there in a week.
Apparently a lineman maybe stepped on his toe or something.
Oh, that's right.
While he was dropping back. So, it could have been as simple as that. But
don't even have pads on yet.
I know this is kind of different. Blue Jays are winning 9-1 right now against the Tigers.
Oh wow, yeah, I actually have it on in the background. Yeah, it was Tigers 1-0 when we went on air. That's wild, actually. 9
what inning is it?
We're looking at
bottom of the 7th.
I can't see from here.
Bottom of the 7th.
Dang.
But Adam, do you want to, go ahead and introduce our guest? I know he is a very close friend of yours, and he has been very supportive to our podcasting account. I mean, words cannot describe how thankful I am that that you got him connected with us. He's done a lot for us. He got a whole NFL player to view our story. Only credit to you. But Adam, I'm giving you the, introduce your guest.
Yeah. So we got the Pitch Grid podcast joining us right now. We're gonna talk a little English football. Maybe dive into some other stuff. But welcome. You want to introduce yourself? Shout out some of your socials.
Yeah, appreciate it, bro. I'm John. I run the Pitch Grid podcast. We talk football from both sides of the pond. You can find us on Instagram, pretty much any socials. We're on YouTube as well for our long form content. Try to post a lot of socials and short form and long form, and try to give voice and perspective to every team, every club, and make sure that all that perspective is heard, because nuance is key for everything.
Love it. Yeah, and I mean, Deuce already said it very well, but yeah, I appreciate all of your support. You are the man for always reposting, shouting out everyone, and yeah, I'm glad you're hitting some milestones too. Always happy to return the favor, but welcome to the show. So let's get into some English soccer or football. So I know you were mentioning some recent transfer window moves that you wanted to get into. So the floor is yours.
Well, I mean, you're looking at Birmingham City who just got acquired by Tom Brady and company last year, they got a Celtic striker coming down to the championship, which is amazing. It shows the ambitions that Birmingham has. They've got the documentary coming out in August, which is I'm really excited for to see. It documents their season last year. Wrexham are making a lot of moves as well, trying to compete. They just signed Josh Windus from who just got let go from Sheffield Wednesday because of all the crap that's going on there. But it just shows that these teams are trying to really compete and flex their money and the access they have to a lot of avenues that a lot of the championship teams don't have. And of course, you have Gyökeres going to Arsenal, which is a huge move. And as a championship coverage guy, it's crazy to see him go from Coventry to Arsenal in a couple of years' time. So,
I don't know if John, if you're able to like adjust something on your audio. It's just coming out a little rough.
oh, it is. Oh, crap.
Yeah, it's all good. If you can't, it's all good. No worries. It's just coming out like a little gargly. It's maybe a little bit better, but I mean, we can keep rolling through. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird with like the feedback. You're hearing that too, Deuce, right?
Yeah.
Wait, I
I'm
can't.
hearing it.
Okay, that was weird. I couldn't hear you at all.
Yeah, it's all good. When he gets it fixed, I'll add him back, But Adam,
Sure.
just really talking about it, just keep giving some more of your insight, on what the soccer and everything that's been going on right now.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'll dive into some Chelsea real quick. So they're just coming off winning the first ever Club World Cup. So really building some big momentum on the world stage. A lot of the Brazilian clubs really impressed me. Even some of the American MLS clubs. I know the Sounders took one of the Brazilian clubs to almost the end of the game. So that was really awesome to see. But back to Chelsea, I mean, they've been making moves nonstop. They're already linked to some more players that they're looking to add very, very soon. So I think they could be maybe not title favorites, but they're going to be one of four clubs next year between Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester City, and then Chelsea. And then you can maybe throw in Manchester United if they right that ship. So yeah, it's gonna be really exciting, and they did qualify for the Champions League as well. Which, for anyone that doesn't know, that basically just takes like the top 4 to 5 teams across all of the different top divisions across all of Europe. So you have like the best French leagues, you have the best German league or German teams versus the best English teams. Then you have like Italian leagues in there too. So it's a really, really cool competition because you get to see the best of the best in the entire world. And I mean, for people that don't know, I mean, soccer is the biggest sport in the entire world. It's played in more countries than any other sport. So I'm always really excited to talk about it and share any insights and keep growing the game that I played more than any other sport growing up.
And I mean,
But yeah,
it
go ahead.
looks like our guest is back.
Perfect.
Pit Grid, if you are ready to go, just let me know and we'll get you back in. Adam, talking about Marcus Smart to the Lakers, do you like this move or not? A lot of Lakers fans are happy. And I'm going to say this, when the Celtics traded him, I was surprised too. I really didn't think they were going to let go of him, but he was traded, but now he's in LA, and he had talks, with Luka, or I guess Luka kind of got him to really sign to the Lakers. I think it's going to help the Lakers very well defensively. This really does bring the defensive, like the presence that the Lakers need, because the Lakers kind of at times look clueless on the defense. But Adam, just your quick thoughts on that, on the Lakers.
Yeah, I love the signing. Yeah, I guess it was a buyout, and then so I mean it's only 2 years, $11 million. So financially, it's not that big of an investment in the crazy amount of basketball dollars that get thrown around. But you put him with Jared Vanderbilt and then Jake LaRavia, who was also another signing in the offseason. about similar dollars. So you add those three guys in the mix. Basically, they Rob Pelinka lost Dorian Finney-Smith, or maybe better way to put it is let him go. And then you're able to get those two players plus DeAndre Ayton. So, I mean, you get potentially two good defensive players for one defensive player. Marcus Smart he can still knock down a bucket too. And like you said, two-time defensive player of the year. So it's just going to be the biggest problem will be, can he stay healthy? Because the last few seasons, I think he has missed around like 20, 30 games per season. So that's going to be the biggest thing. But on
hey,
deep, yeah, go ahead.
The Lakers only really lost Dorian Finney-Smith this season. They gained more than they lost. That's really a bright positive on Rob Pelinka. Normally, and I've seen patches where the Lakers kind of lose a lot of pieces and then they kind of re-sign the same pieces, but the presence isn't the same. This year, you're bringing back majority of your players and you're adding new players. So this is only benefiting from the Lakers. And JJ Redick going into year 2, I got full confidence in him. Not fully going to say they're going to win the West, but I think, like I said before, they are a top team in the West, whether you like it or not. As long as you have Luka, I always think you're going to be in competition, and Luka strives when he has weapons around him. You know, there was times in Dallas he didn't have weapons around him, but when he got Kyrie and they started to build around Luka, you see what happened. They went to the finals. This team is Rob Pelinka has done a very great job at adding the right pieces around Luka. People that Luka know, DeAndre Ayton, Marcus Smart, and previous players. So I think this is all doing this to benefit Luka, and plus they still have LeBron on the team. Although he is getting old, he is still very productive. LeBron is still very productive, and whether you like it or not, he right now in his career, like I said, he is the second option in my opinion now, since Luka has kind of taken over more of the lead role. But he is still a top player, a top 5 second option. He made All NBA last year at his age, so we don't see a lot of players doing that nowadays. But like I said, you can never count the Lakers out. This NBA upcoming season is going to be probably a crazy one. Just like watching the West is just watching MLB standings constantly change day after day, because these teams all have a valid case to make the playoffs. I think there's only probably 2 teams that probably won't have a case to make the playoffs in the West, but this is stacking up to be a very, very, very tight race.
Yeah, and I'm just really excited to see the resurgence from Jared Vanderbilt, because the first season that he was on the Lakers, he was just a defensive menace. Even showed up with like some key 3-point shots made too. So he kind of had a lack of minutes last year. So it's going to be interesting, and I'm really excited to see him kind of come back. But Jake LaRavia, I don't think people are talking about him enough, because he's a very underrated 3-and-D player. He's really scrappy. He's going to get more minutes. So I mean, none of these signings project to necessarily be in the starting lineup, but depending on who you're playing, they could end up being in there, or just guys that you can mix in with the starting lineup. Otherwise, we're going to have a very nice second unit with a lot of defense on there, and just those scrappy players, like the Alex Carusos the Lakers were missing last year. Now you have that potentially in a Marcus Smart, who again can still knock down a shot, can still make a 3. So, I mean, you're getting other guys that are around Luka and LeBron who love to drive the paint, love to have 2 guys on them at once and then find the open man. So now you're just getting more guys that can knock it down, and you're getting that grit defensively, which I still have high hopes for skinny Luka. I'm hoping that he can lock in on the defensive end. And Austin Reeves is another guy.
I know you and one of our fans, Trey, has really been hype on skinny Luka. And I know Trey not on the show today, but MVP. Yeah, Trey has had a lot to say about skinny Luka. So, I mean, it made me hype for him myself. Y'all too had kind of made me really hype skinny Luka. I saw a picture of him in the gym the other day, and I was like, man, this picture, how he looked last year. Oh,
yeah, he's looking good. And I mean, I hate to call him skinny Luka every time, but it's just kind of his new nickname, I guess, going forward. But I mean, also with the voters, with all the writers, they get kind of stale when they're voting for MVP. So I mean, Shea just won it last year. Jokic won it the year before. I think they're really looking for that next guy to take over. And Luka easily could have won it multiple seasons. He was probably runner up or top 3 in voting many of the last 3-4 years. So I'm really excited to see it. And talking to Pitch Grid a little bit, it looks like he's having some technical difficulties. So I think we're gonna have to reschedule that part of the segment. But we could. Do you want
Jump
to talk a
into
little? Yeah, jump into MLB.
Yeah, we can talk some baseball. I mean, it's been a wild week in baseball. Once again, the Blue Jays, I hate to say it, beat the Yankees 2-1 in the series. Um, like you said, Adam, even though the Yankees did lose, I still can't count them out. You know, you still got a season to go. Um, but I will say the Blue Jays have came out All-Star break hot. You know, they went into All-Star break and it was a lot of questions where can this team remain consistent? And I mean, they look perfectly fine coming out the break. They've won 2 straight series. Right now, they're currently beating the Tigers. Last time I checked, 9-1. So, I mean, Blue Jays are kind of right now they're already a top 3 team in the AL. Top two team if you want to debate it right now if they beat the Tigers this series. Key players, I mean, Addison Barger, my God, he is probably. I keep calling Addison the GOAT Barger because every time he's at the plate,
Love it.
I just know that he's going to hit the ball. I mean, he's came up clutch so many games, and it's like the Blue Jays. They have a very consistent batting lineup, top down. It's kind of made me realize that some of these players that are lower in the lineup can actually hit. Players like Joey Loperfido. What happened, Ada?
Breaking news: Mariners just traded for Josh Naylor.
Ooh.
Gave up prospect Brandon Garcia, who had just made his debut a couple days ago. But I wanted them to get Eugenio Suarez back. I was going to touch on that in like a few minutes, but the breaking news comes through. Josh Naylor, also on the Diamondbacks. He's a big bat. He can crush a baseball. Not necessarily a great defensive guy, but that's the exact guy the Mariners needed.
I mean, just watching him play the Astros last weekend. I mean, this last series. But what did y'all have to give up?
So Brandon Garcia, who he's been kind of going back and forth between being a starting pitcher and a relief pitcher. He's pitched the last like 2 or 3 games for the Mariners after just getting called up, being used as a reliever. Does have some electric stuff. Like we're talking like 97, 98 mile an hour fastball. Still working on the secondary pitches, but that could be a big loss long term. But I mean, I'm just glad the Mariners are finally going for it. We're probably about to get into the power rankings, which we can still do that. But Josh Naylor is that impact bat. You can put him in he'll probably bat fifth for the Mariners now, maybe even 6th. So now the Mariners are just going to look outstanding 1 through 6. Like you're going to have J.P. Crawford, Julio Rodriguez, Cal Raleigh, Randy Rosarina, and now probably Josh Naylor in there. So instead of having to have like Mitch Garver or some other bat in there, which I mean, no shade on Mitch Garver because he's actually been batting really well lately, but getting an impact bat like Josh Naylor is absolutely huge. So we gave up Brandon Garcia and then Ashton Izzy, who I'll be completely honest, I don't know who that is off the top of my head. I'll have to do a little bit of research at the end. So it doesn't sound like we had to give up the farm. We didn't give up any of our like top prospects. I think Brandon Garcia was like the 12th prospect in the Mariners system. We do have 8 top 100 prospects. It's more than anyone in baseball, depending on which rankings you look at. But so Brandon Garcia might be a loss down the road, but absolutely love that. I have no idea what you were talking about before that happened.
No, all good. But yeah, like I was talking about,
right.
Yeah, like I was saying, the Blue Jays. I mean, basically they've came out the All-Star break looking hot as normal. The top of the batting lineup, top down, is hitting very well. Joey Loperfido is one player I want to give a call out to because he is also a player that you wouldn't think too much of, but he is starting to kind of get my attention in the Blue Jays lineup. It's one more player that I
on defense.
I just can't even I can't hit the nail on the name right now. It'll probably come back to me next week. But with that being said, talking some power rankings, I'm kind of gonna let you go first because I don't really got my top 10 down right now. I really want to say right now my debate is, would you say the Brewers are like kind of the best team in baseball? I mean, they've been playing like it recently. They caught me. I mean, one week they're down here, the next week they're at the top of the rankings. They're beating the Cubs for first. So I mean, really, before we even like get into a power ranking, would you say the Brewers have the best case, or right now, are just the best team in baseball?
Yeah, I moved them up to number 1 in my power rankings this week. Just coming off the series with the Mariners, I actually thought the Mariners played them really well. Brewers took first game 6-0. Then the Mariners were able to get the shutout in game 2, 1-0. And then yesterday was kind of not a fun game to watch as a Mariners fan. I think it was 10-2 Brewers. But I'll just say right now, the Mariners were able to go 6-6 after playing the Yankees before the All-Star break. They were swept by the Yankees, but then they were able to sweep the Tigers, who at the time were the best team in baseball, pretty much without a doubt by anyone. And then they were able to take 2 out of 3 from the Astros, so that was a huge one. If they would have swept the Astros, they would have only been 2 games behind. But either way, that's a huge, huge win. And then the Brewers, where they lost 2 out of 3. But to go 6-6 against all 4 of those teams are in the top 10 in the power rankings. So that actually helped me boost up the Mariners quite a bit.
I just looked, and the Tigers are 1-9 in their last 10. So I mean, they are most definitely dropping in the power rankings. I mean, if before after you give your power rankings, I'm just obviously going to say I kind of think that the Tigers are probably going to either be my 3rd or 4th seed team. Yep. I kind of think that the Astros and the Blue Jays and the Brewers are just playing better than them right now. But Adam, if you just want to go ahead and give your quick top 10.
Yep. So yeah, like I said, we got Brewers at number 1. Cubs, who you said they've just kind of leapfrogged, but the Cubs are still right there. Cubs at number 2. And I agree with you. I have Tigers at 3 now. Then it's going to be, like you said, 1-9 in the last 10. I mean, it's a long season. There's still a lot of games to be played. So usually every single top team, even World Series favorites and World Series winners eventually, they usually all have like 5-game losing streaks, even sometimes bigger than that. So I wouldn't like put up the red flag too much yet. But Dodgers at number 4. You could kind of go interchangeably, Dodgers or Blue Jays. For me, the roster is just so deep for the Dodgers. They're coming off the World Series. They're still going to get a lot of guys back healthy. So for me, it's got to be the Dodgers at 4, and then the Blue Jays are going to slide right there at number 5. And if they keep staying hot, by next week they could be a top 3 team. Maybe they'll be the number 1 team if the Brewers slide a little bit. But Blue Jays at 5, Phillies at 6. I feel like they've just that team that has just been hanging around that 6 to 7 spot almost every single week. Astros at 7. They've slid a little bit, and that's not biased at all, even though I am a Mariners fan. I think I cross-referenced a few other power rankings, and ESPN had the Astros at 7 as well. Yankees, I got them at 8. Some other people put them at 9, but I still got them at 8. They've also slid a little bit lately, but they're another team that's going to get a lot of guys back soon. They also have I cannot remember his name right now. It's not Curtis Jones, but I call him Baby Aaron Judge. He's sitting in AAA right now. He's been putting up some crazy numbers, so maybe they call him up in the next few weeks or sometime in the second half for the playoff run, which would be a scary bat to add to the mix if he's able to do in the big leagues what he's doing in AAA. So then number 9 is going to be the New York Mets, who their number 1 problem is just probably pitching. They've got a great offense. They've been kind of back and forth as far as consistency, but they're rounded back into form. And then number 10, rounding out the top 10 power rankings, is my Seattle Mariners. To me, in my opinion, they deserve it. Like I said, they've gone 6-6 against 4 teams that are all higher than them in the power rankings: the Yankees, the Tigers, the Astros, and the Brewers. And honestly, with just adding Josh Naylor, cannot even talk about how excited I am. I'm just giddy beyond all belief. So if he's able to make an instant impact, they could easily move up to like the 8th spot, maybe even the 7th spot by next week if they start getting on a hot streak. And the best part is the Mariners are playing the Angels today, starting that series. They're about to play the Athletics. I think they play the White Sox. So they got through this gauntlet of games, and now they actually get to play some lesser teams. And the important thing is just not playing down to the competition. And a couple honorable mentions. Wait, no, I didn't end up putting that in there. Oh yeah, honorable mentions. I would have Red Sox at 11, Padres at 12. So their Red Sox are super duper hot. They've lost a couple games the last few, but they actually, I think they won 9-8 last night against the Phillies. So that was a great win. Back and forth game. I think it went to like 11 innings. So very exciting game to watch. But your thoughts, if you want to mention anything about my power rankings, Deuce?
I think they're kind of pretty spot on. I probably think like I'll always, me and you have a few slight differences. I mean, for me in baseball, I probably get the Brewers the one spot. They were my five each week. They've been jumping. They were at the 10, then they're at the 5, and now they're at the 1. I think their play has backed it up tremendously. Number 2, I would give the Astros. Just kind of because they came off a series win against the Diamondbacks, and yes, the Diamondbacks may not be the best team, but they still hit relatively well. And it's kind of funny how every time Jose Altuve steps up to bat, he just gets instantly booed. It's just kind of crazy to see how much it kind of is crazy to see how much the league hates him. But I think jumping into the 3 spot for me, and I know it's going to be a hot take, but I would give it to my Blue Jays. Like I said before, they came out the All-Star break hot. The biggest series were this series again, the last series against the Yankees, and this series against the Tigers. And currently, as right now, they're beating the Tigers, so everything's going in their favor. They beat the Yankees 2-1 in the series, so that will probably be my 3. And I'm using this all on the real app. Also, I didn't write any of these standings down. So yeah, I get 1 the Brewers, 2 the Astros, 3 the Blue Jays. 4 would be the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers still have a championship team. You know, they're still winning. And they got players hurt, and you still can't count out the previous World Series champions. At 4, I mean, at 5, I'll give it to the Tigers. Although they are 1-9 in their last 10, I still think maybe this is just a slump. You know, in baseball, there's times where you go on a cold streak, like you've told me, times you're going on a cold streak, and then you can go on a hot streak. Maybe this is just a cold streak. Maybe after, or maybe they get it back together after this game. I'm not wishing that on the Blue Jays, but maybe they finally find their groove after this game.
It's 11-1 Blue Jays now.
That was my So 1,
Number
2,
5.
3, my 5. So my 6, I'll probably give it to the Cubs. That's also interchangeable with the Dodgers. I still think that the Cubs are a very top team. I'm always joking with my friend Hunter in my Cowboys group chat that the Brewers are better than the Cubs. And yeah, as of right now they are, but I still think the Cubs
Still
are
close.
really they're a top 2 team really if they, if some games go different ways, but like next week they can be my number 2 team. That's just how quick
Yeah,
these
I still got them at 2.
Yeah, that's how quick these standings can change. And I'm saying this to anybody watching. Don't take I'm saying take my listen to my standings, but just let you know this changes how I see it from week to week. So at
I
6,
like you taking the bold approach because
Yeah.
there's the last few weeks you've been kind of 1 week ahead of some other rankers, but at the same time you were the first one that I've seen put the Blue Jays in the top 10, and then you hit the nail on the head with that. And you were putting the Brewers in the top 10 as well, and now they're all the way up to 1. So
and
yeah, no,
I'm just
I
saying that's just
appreciate the bold takes.
you just get that by really watching. So, and I mean, was I at 6 or 7?
Yeah, you're at 6. Yeah,
So-
going to 7 now, I think.
So at 7, I go into the Yankees. Although they did just lose this last series, they're still, Adam, you pointed it out to me, they're still a team. And I really don't like talking good on the Yankees because I don't like them, but they're still a team that made it to the World Series last year. And as long as you have Aaron Judge on that team, he is kind of the reason why the Blue Jays did not sweep the Yankees. He hit a clutch home run in game 2 that made them win the game in the 9th inning. So, and the Blue Jays just could not come back from that. At 8, I would probably have to give it to the Phillies. I would probably give it to the Phillies. I think that the Phillies had an amazing series with the Red Sox. 9, I still give it to the Red Sox. Like you said, the Red Sox are still a team that has been putting close games. Going into the All-Star break, they looked incredible, and it looked like Rafael Devers really didn't even matter if they traded him because honestly, they look better without him this season or since trading him. And like you said, Adam, 10.
The locker room.
Yes, 10, I would give it to the Mariners. They're keeping these series close. They have a strong
Appreciate
chance.
it.
No problem. But I'm kind of looking at they have a strong chance to really jump the Yankees for that 4th spot. And, if they keep playing well, hey, going into the playoffs, like you said, after they just traded for this player, they can be a really strong threat. This AL playoff, this AL race every week kind of gives me it just kind of hurts my brain.
Every year, even. It's crazy.
I don't know who's going to finish where and who's going to finish. 1 week this team's up here, 1 week this team is down there. But honorable mention, I would have to give it to the Padres. Like you said, they have been playing well, and I was kind of contemplating putting them in the top 10. That was kind of my debate between the Mariners and the Padres, but I do
What about
give.
the Mets? You got the Mets like right around there
Yes,
too.
the Mariners, Mets, Padres are all in my like. They could easily be the seven. I'm not 7, 8 through 10 spot. Those are in my rankings and a few honorable mentions. I hate to leave these teams out, but
Yeah.
I just kind of think that these teams are like just better. But next week the Mets could be in, like I've said, and also
And just real quick, like I honestly think any of these teams that we're putting in the top 10, they all have a realistic chance of winning
yes,
the World Series. So like,
I think everybody
you
has
don't
their
watch
taste.
baseball, it's a great year to tune in and start watching baseball because like it's going to be an electric race. And honestly, you don't
Yeah.
usually see where
So-
there's like over 5 teams that could win the World Series.
And I mean, if for instance, if they don't make my top 10 this week, that doesn't mean they're not gonna make my top 10 next week. I've had a lot of teams kind of rotate in and out. I had the Yankees out of my top 10 at one point, and they're back in it. I had the Mets at my top 5 spot at one point. They're not back in it.
Yep.
But I also want to give an honorable mention to the Rangers, although they did just they beat the Athletics, and they may not be the best of the teams, but the Rangers have finally got over 500. That was kind of big, and I believe they played the Tigers, and they were able to scratch off a win, if I can remember correctly, and that's kind of really big for the Rangers. And now that has put the Rangers in competition to fight for that playoff spot. Because Adam, I will not lie, they are fighting alongside the
They're
Angels.
hanging around. I don't like it.
They're like that team that's just kind of not right there yet, but they're like slowly picking at you. If the Rangers keep winning, hey, you never know, but. Adam, do you got anything you want to close this podcast out? I will say this first. Next week, tune in. It's a lot going on inside the locker room. We got collabs with Sports Nuts. We got Kobe Bryant special. We got a lot of guests coming on. My personal friend. We got Adam's friends. It's a lot of good guests that you're going to want to see. And then also tune into our episode next week as well. We always like
You're
to
gonna see us a lot next week.
Yes. You're going to get a lot of content out of us next week. So I would want to keep it stay around. Follow the TikTok, follow the Instagram, follow the YouTube. If people have been keeping up with the TikToks, I have kind of been very present lately, really, really present lately. So just stay tuned. But Adam, do you got any anything to say before we close out this pod?
Yeah, I just want to shout out the Pitch Grid one more time because I know he had some technical difficulties, but go follow this dude on Instagram, on YouTube. He makes a lot of really great videos. He makes a lot of like really cool what if videos of what if this play didn't happen? How would that have changed a dynasty? Like he makes some really great content. He's all love, all support for all the other creators out there as well. But I know he's really trying to grow his YouTube following, so go check out the Pitch Grid on YouTube. You'll definitely appreciate it, and yeah, you won't be disappointed in the content.
And I mean, also, I would also
say
this, check out our another partner. They didn't join today, but Sports Nuts. They're also another podcast that has really, really helped us grow. So I would also say
definitely
check them out. We are all, we all like to help each other grow. We're all in communication with each other. We all get feedback. We all give advice. So that is something that I love about this sports community. But Adam, giving it back to you.
Yeah, one more thing that we didn't touch on, and it was kind of some big news in this past week. Tyrann Mathieu retiring from the Saints, and I know I was kind of holding off just in case Michael was able to make it and jump in here. But I mean, for me, he's been one of the best safeties over the last 5 to 10 seasons. You could put him up next to most of the safeties in the league currently and past retired safeties. And I mean, the Honey Badger nickname, it's a great nickname. It's followed him forever. But like, he really, really does make all those little plays. I'm really glad that he was able to win a Super Bowl before he retired. So shout out to Tyrann Mathieu. Any thoughts on that, Deuce, before we close it up?
I mean, I'm not really like I've always heard of his name. He was really a player that, well, like you said, it was a top safety, and I'm glad that he got his ring, and then he got to return to the Bayou in New Orleans because he did go to college in LSU. So I kind of do wish Michael was on here to really get to explain. And next week he'll probably get to talk some more, touch on it a little bit more. But just as a fan of the game, I like what he did for the game. He played for the love of the game, and
for sure,
that's all I got to say on that. But closing this out, as always, like I said, as always, stay tuned, follow, comment, like all of our stuff. we're currently growing up by the day, and you know, it's always important when we have our fan interactions. Everything that y'all do kind of drives us to keep going week after week, and it's only love from inside the locker room. As always, like I say, stay safe and enjoy this episode.